to all our listeners and viewers of the NDC Heartbeat podcast. We're happy to welcome all those who are listening on radio via WeFM, Vibes FM, Spice Capital Radio. We've got 100.5 FM out of Labby in Grenville. We've got Rampoon Radio out of Delaware in the United States, and other stations picking up the Heartbeat on a Sunday afternoon. For those listening or those viewing on Facebook, there's a little bit of challenge which we're experiencing there, so we invite you to go over to our YouTube channel where you would pick up the Heartbeat. So hopefully we can resolve the issue with Facebook very shortly. But welcome to another NDC episode for another beautiful Sunday afternoon in Grenada. What we're going to be doing today, we're going to be chatting with the Minister of Finance. And we're going to be talking finance for a while. Thereafter, we're going to be showing you excerpts of the recent launch of Project Polaris. So we have virtually the Minister of Finance, the Honorable Dennis Cornwall. We'll be chatting about finance and in particular the financing of Project Polaris. So welcome to the Heartbeat. Welcome to the Heartbeat. So we have virtually the Minister of Finance, the Honorable Dennis Cornwall. We'll be chatting about finance and in particular the financing of Project Polaris. So welcome to the Heartbeat. Welcome to the Heartbeat. We have virtually Good afternoon, Minister Cornwall. Good to have you on the Heartbeat.
Good afternoon. I wasn't hearing you earlier on, so that's why I actually...
Right. We were just having some little technical challenges and so forth, which our IT specialist has been trying to resolve.
Good afternoon, Minister Cornwall. Okay, so I'm hearing you perfectly well now.
Fantastic. Well, welcome again to the Heartbeat. I know you're no stranger to this platform, so hope you're having a great Sunday afternoon.
Thank you, Terry. And again, it's my pleasure to be on the Heartbeat as usual. I have committed myself to be here at any time, whenever I'm needed, to impart some good information to the Grenadian public, as well as our diaspora listeners, as well as other listeners throughout the Caribbean.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. And I hope that we did not in any way disturb your church service this afternoon. Hopefully you had that covered and you said your good prayers, and now we are ready to go.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Now, we all saw the fantastic launch of Project Polaris on Friday. It was a massive turnout and an excellent ceremony which was held at the project site in Calavini. There have been a couple of comments with respect to the financing of that project. Some comments were not very complimentary, and we'd like you to bring some clarity to it. Project Polaris. How are we financing that project, and where are we presently with respect to its financing?
Thank you again, Terry. And let me begin by saying congratulations to the Polaris team, which includes Ambassador Andreas and Bernard. We've also had the T1 Britain Telesphone. That's one of the members of the Ministry of Finance, as well as Damien. They are the core team. They also had with them initially Ms. Hopkins, who were part of the team that traveled to the Middle East to basically seek funding for that project. Now, let me say that I think the work that has been done behind the scene thus far is very pleasant, it's very interesting, despite the comments that you get from various circles. I just want to give you some background on the debt that Grenada inherited, or NDC inherited when we got into office back in June of 2026. Grenada debt was around 22, sorry.
Yeah.
Was around $1 billion US dollars. That's about 2.7 EC billion dollars. Mm-hmm. Back then, the debt to GDP ratio was somewhere in the region of 71% thereabout. And that debt included both central government debt as well as statutory bodies debt. Today, we are a little lower than that. we are down to about 69% thereabout, debt to GDP ratio inclusive of the statutory body's debt.
Mm-hmm.
Now, so far we have contracted just around $500 million EC for the construction of the new hospital.
Right.
We have not disbursed any of those funds as yet from the potential borrowers, and so I can conclude that we have not added anything to the domestic debt as yet.
Okay.
So whenever we actually disburse those monies, yes, we expect the debt to GDP will go up a bit.
Mm-hmm.
The stock of debt will go up a bit. But let me say before I continue that all the debt that we have actually contracted thus far are very, very concessionary debt. In other words, these are the lowest debt that we would have had on our books once contracted. The only other debts that are lower than that are the World Bank IDB debts, which is about 0.75%.
Mm-hmm.
And again, one of the reasons why we have had to basically make sure that all the debt that we have been contracting are at concessionary rates is because we are obligated under agreements with the World Bank to not contract any commercial type debt in our portfolio. And so far we have maintained that to the T.
All right.
So the debts that we have actually contracted thus far range from 1.25% to about 1.5%. On average is about 1.4% on debt. We have grace period of 5 years, as well as we have term ranging between 22 years and 28 years. On average, let's say 24 years term to pay back those debts.
Uh-huh. Okay.
So I would also conclude by saying that these debts are the most concessionary debts that we have on the books once disbursed over the next 3 years.
Okay. So just to recap for the benefit of our listeners, upon getting into office in June of 2022, you recognized that Grenada's debt was approximately $1 billion. That's US. So let's say $2.7 billion. Correct?
Yes.
Okay, fine. And the debt to GDP ratio was approximately 71% at that point in time.
Thereabout.
Right. And you are now down to approximately 69% of GDP, debt to GDP ratio.
Yes.
All right. Now, the borrowing for Project Polaris, notwithstanding negative comments and so forth by members of the opposition, how comfortable are you for the Ministry of Finance to service that debt moving forward?
Okay, let me say before I enter into answering that direct question, in the medium-term strategy paper that we have presented, which talks about what are our plans up to 2030, 35. Mm-hmm. We have in there that our debt to GDP ratio should go down to 60% of GDP.
Right.
And so while during this period now and 2035, there may be little ups and there may be little down. Mm-hmm. But we are on track to ensure that we achieve that 60% of GDP debt to GDP ratio by 2035.
Right.
And so the new debts that we are contracting right now, as I said earlier on, they are all concessionary type loans of interest rate from 1.25 to about 1.5%. On average, those debts would be about 1.4% interest rate.
All right. So, in other words, you are not uncomfortable in borrowing, and you're not uncomfortable with respect to servicing.
No, I'm very comfortable because we are continuing to service our debt. Despite you hear earlier that Grenada has suspended the debt and we are not paying the debt. That is not totally true. And so I would not even want to give those people the comfort of talking nonsense.
Okay. All right. Well, Now, the servicing of the debt and the projection that you shared earlier on up to 2035, you should have the debt to GDP ratio at about 60%, down from 69. Does that in any way take into consideration any futuristic earnings from possible oil and gas, or is that under the present financial status that you are projecting?
Well, under the current revenue position that we have, we believe that even with those situations, we are able to sustain our debt portfolio to where I've actually placed it. In other words, although we expect new financing, new revenue streams and so on, I believe without those, we still will be able to at least service our debt comfortably during that period.
Okay, so any new revenue stream will be gravy for the Ministry of Finance?
Yes.
All right. So in the present status and present economic projections, you are very comfortable with respect to servicing any additional debts that you may incur for the development of Project Polaris.
Exactly.
All right. Well, it's important that we get that clear so that the general public understands that the contracting of debt for this project is necessary. And
but Terry, I don't know if you recall that back in the 2026, the 2025 budget, we would have gone to Parliament with a bill to basically authorize the government of Grenada to borrow up to $830 million thereabout. So we are well within our reach to basically utilize that facility to make sure we can take care of the Project Polaris debt. We also in the 2026 budget also gone to Parliament to get authorization for additional 250 million, I think it was, borrowing. And so we are well within our mandate to make sure that we can stay within those mandates and be comfortable going forward.
All right. So then, as far as you are concerned, the naysayers out there and those who choose to kind of be negative about the borrowing and the project, the public must therefore dispel any of these utterances and consider the fact that the government finances are well managed and we are moving forward based on the vision that has been articulated since 2022 about a new hospital and the management of the country's affairs.
Certainly. And Terry, let me also say that despite we have gone and borrowed monies and very concessional rates, there are a lot of interest out there in the market in wanting to provide funding for the same purpose. Because we've had several offers from several entities and several banks and several other sources to provide resources for this government to be able to undertake the Polaris project, which is a new hospital project. However, we have stuck to our mandate that we are going to borrow on very concessionary terms to make sure we do not put ourselves in a situation where we overextend ourselves where debt is concerned. And so I'm very comfortable that we would raise all the money that we would need at very concessional rates and be able to execute the project without difficulty.
All right.
In fact, let me add one thing here. Just on Friday last, we also had a meeting with CAF. CAF is the Caribbean and Latin American Bank. We are shareholder of that particular bank, and we also look forward to receiving some grants as well as soft loan from that institution to help continue doing the work that we need to do with Project Polaris. We need technical assistance. They are going to provide funding for that. We also need to get some funding from them for telehealth. We're going to get that money for them. And so we signed a letter of intent between Government of Grenada and CAF only on Friday to make such development happen in the shortest possible time. In fact, while I was in Panama last month, I think February it was, I met with CAF and I basically met them one-on-one and expressed to them that we would have interest in wanting to get financing from them. And so they have given us a commitment, and they were here earlier this month as well as yesterday. And we have signed a letter of intent for collaboration between Government of Grenada and CAF for assistance, whether it's a loan a grant to deal with telehealth, sorry.
Mm-hmm. Now, just elaborate a bit on the manner in which governments obtain financing, be it local from the local banking system or be it from the international banking system. Generally, banks will only lend you money if you qualify. How easy has it been obtaining financing on the international market? And have you been getting several requests for financing of the project?
Terry, on the international scene, Grenada debt situation is one of selected default.
Mm-hmm.
And that was not of 3 years ago making. In fact, when we get into office, Grenada had that designation of selected default where debt is concerned. I don't know if you recall that we have owed Trinidad and Tobago some $40+ million for money that was taken from Trinidad and Tobago to build back some houses shortly after Hurricane Ivan.
Mm-hmm.
The terms and conditions of those loans were never defined. And so up until recently, there was no agreement in place to pay back that money. And so the IMF and World Bank was using those criteria to place Grenada in the selected default matter. We also had some outstanding debt with Libya and Algeria. And so those 3 entities, we have arrays of loans with them. Mm-hmm. And we have tried during the last 3 years to basically make those things good. In the case of Libya, Libya is under sanction from the United States of America, as well as Algeria has issues too, so we were not able to pay that. However, we have been putting aside monies in the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank in a sinking fund to make sure that we can pay those debt whenever we can do so, because again, once the sanction is in place, we cannot pay those debts normally. In the case of Trinidad and Tobago, we have approached the government of Trinidad and Tobago, and we have gotten them to basically give us new terms and conditions for that loan, and hopefully we should be able to start paying. I think we start paying back in September gone, and so we are well on our way to make sure that we can get Grenada out of this selective debt situation. Once that is done, Grenada debt position with the World Bank and IMF would change. But again, we would have taken steps to make sure that Grenada gets out of this debt situation that it is with the World Bank and IMF.
All right.
That is another 2 days. That is another 2 days thing. I said it came back for many years that those that were not serviced, and so we still remain in that selective situation until that debt payment is done. Having said that, Grenada has maintained good standing with its creditors. We have paid our creditors, especially those bondholders. We have paid them. In fact, we were trying to basically renegotiate that bond holding with the creditors, but they are so comfortable that they have not yet given us any green light whether or not they want to reschedule that loan or get it repaid and so on. And so that's part of the history behind these debt payments and so on. Mm-hmm. But Grenada is in a comfortable situation where we are paying our debts and we are able to attract very good debt from our creditors. We don't have a problem with our creditors. We are paying our creditors on time. And so Grenada is in a very good place.
Wonderful. I think it's important that we just revisit that matter with Trinidad and Tobago, this $40 million since after Hurricane Ivan, to assist with the rebuilding process since 2004, 2005, maybe the debt was entered into. We now in 2026. Are you saying, therefore, that Grenada did not enter or did not service that debt since then? You're talking 21 years ago?
Yes. And we only recently, like last September, started paying back that loan to Trinidad and Tobago.
Wait, I mean, did I hear this right? For 21 years, we did not pay Trinidad back on the $40 million borrowed. And it's only September of 2026, based on negotiations with Trinidad, you have now started paying Trinidad. Am I hearing right, Minister?
Certainly.
Wow. And the debt with Libya and with Algeria, that is a select situation because you are unable to service it because of international setbacks and so forth.
Yes, because of the sanction that the U.S. has placed on Libya.
Right.
We
So
have made several attempts to service our debt, and in fact, we have sent monies, but it was blocked, sorry,
yes,
and that money sent
understand.
back to Grenada. So we have had to take a route of putting the money in a sinking fund, so that whenever that sanction is lifted and so on,
Then
Libya
it's
would
there.
have the money. Yes.
All right. So for those who are out there spouting, as I would use your words, financial nonsense, the public needs to understand that the management of our finances has been so recklessly managed over the last 21 years that you have had to now renegotiate now with Trinidad, whereupon there were no terms and conditions in place with Trinidad and Tobago for a $40 million loan 21 years ago. And you have started paying now in September based on your negotiated settlements. And they want to raise their mouth and talk about loan and financing and inability for the country to meet those debts. I will use your word again, financial nonsense.
I would only say one word, Terry: shameless people.
Shameless, indeed, absolute shameless, to be making such utterances, misleading the general public in thinking that this debt will bankrupt the country. Whereas the opposite is true. Because if you can't pay your debt, it means that you're bankrupt or you're just worthless.
And Terry, there are two other points I want to make. If Grenada was so much in a debt bind, no country around the world, no institutions would be willing to borrow Grenada monies.
Very simple.
We are in a very well-placed position to raise funding from anyone outside that we wish to raise funds from, because people are actually coming after us, offering us all kind of monies and so on. But again, we are concerned government, we are a prudent government, and we have decided to follow the guidelines of the World Bank and others and to borrow monies prudently at very concessionary rates so that we can maintain our debt portfolio throughout.
Well, put it this way for the grassroots man to understand. Banks don't offer you loans except that they feel very confident and comfortable that you are in a position to pay them. Because banks are in the business of earning interest and making money.
Certainly, Terry. If you have a bad credit situation, no one will borrow your monies. No one will lend your monies.
No
one will basically look at
absolutely.
you. Even in your individual situation, if you are a bad pay person, if you can't pay your loan, nobody will look at you.
It's a straight case.
Grenada as a nation is not in that situation. And so we continue to basically be able to borrow money from our international and regional institutions with very, very concessionary rates and so on. And that sink home.
So in other words, because of Grenada's financial strength, it puts you in a strong negotiating position whereby you can actually demand special concessionary terms and conditions in accessing whatever loans you may require.
That's right. And Terry, over the last 2-3 years, we have also been able to negotiate with our creditors to put in their debt clauses that deal with climate issues. So, for example, if we have a major hurricane and we are in a situation where we cannot raise our revenue to pay our debt, there's a clause in there which basically allows us to suspend our debt payments until we get back on foot and so on. That never happened in the past. And so we have to be touting our horn on that particular one. Grenada is in a position they're able to borrow, and also be able to put in their clauses that will basically make the country be in a better position once we have natural disasters and other crises that probably may arise around the world.
Mm-hmm. Well. I say no more. I say no more, except to say to the Grenadian public, the finances of this country is in good hands under the leadership of Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell, and of course, as Minister of Finance, the Honorable Dennis Cornwall. And
well said.
People need to understand what the facts are. And you have clearly outlined what the facts are. And for those who want to continue to spread false information, propaganda out there, you need to get the facts, which is important in arriving at decisions. Stop listening to Brango and stop listening to those who wish to mislead you, the general public, in thinking otherwise. You have heard it from the Minister of Finance very clearly. Minister, thank you for your time today. I don't know if you wish to have any closing comments. You may want to probably make comments on your constituency at this point in time.
Okay, so Terry, I'll make two comments. One has to do with my constituency. Last Thursday, I think it was, not that Thursday gone, the one before that, there was a fire in St. Patrick East in the area of Liver. One family of 12, husband and wife and 10 children. They've lost their entire worldly belongings and so on.
Wow.
I have been there on the very Thursday night that the fire took place, and I saw the condition myself. I provided some financial assistance, and subsequently I went back there on Thursday gone and also provided additional help. Mm-hmm. I am saying that to say that I want the Grenadian public to be aware that there are people out there who have needs, not because of their doing, but because of their mishaps. And so we should try and basically help them to get back on their feet. Not like some of them on their radio and podcasts, talking rubbish about POPs and POP-C and those kind of things. That doesn't make sense to me. I will want the fire victim to basically take them very seriously, and if needs be, take them to court for misinforming and spreading rumors about what is happening there. I am not married to the woman. I don't know nobody one except I went to lend a helping hand in a time of needs. Secondly, Terry, I want to say that a lot is continuing to happen in St. Patrick East in particular. For those who have passed in the area along the breakwater, they would realize that some work is going on, not the breakwater as yet, but some work is done in terms of restoring the shoreline of the lower bay in Sates. Hopefully the project will start very soon, and that we'll see some relief to the people who live on that area along the breakwater area. Mm-hmm. Also, Terry, I believe that a lot of bridges in St. Patrick has been addressed. In fact, the Snellall Bridge is ongoing. We are hoping that that should be opened up in end of May. I know there were a lot of talks about that bridge also, about the length of time it's taken. And I believe that we have to take into consideration that we have challenges sometimes. And so we will be completing that bridge very shortly. The road in Bonham, that road that started by Tillman Thomas several years ago and over 10 years was abandoned by the former administration. This road is now paved. Wow. And all that is left for us to do is to build that bridge that we are hoping to do so that the people from Bonham area can cross the river, whether it's raining or not. Hopefully that should start soon, and we are hoping that we can bring some relief to those people inside there. There's another matter I want to raise because, again, it has been out there for the longest while. People are asking where did the money for CRIF monies went. I will tell you that the money was well spent, but I also want to tell you that if NDC didn't come into office at the time it came into office and paid the premium that was supposed to be paid to CRIF, we would not have had any payout from CRIF because the former administration had talks to discontinue the payment of the premium. So all the touting that you're hearing outside, all the noise you're hearing about where the money gone and why is the money this, and it's because of the efforts of the NNP that we get that money. That is so far from the truth. NDC had to come into office and stop that nonsense where they wanted to terminate paying of the premium to CRIF. And so they should be thanking NDC all the way to the bank.
Explain to the public what CRIF means.
The Caribbean Risk Disaster Institution, I think.
Okay, so that's an insurance organization.
It's an insurance that takes care of those
disasters.
Yeah. And every year the country is supposed to be paying them a premium so that they can continue maintaining their insurance.
Right.
Prior to us coming into office, and there were talks in the Ministry of Finance not to pay that premium because for over 17 years, they were paying and they were not receiving any benefits and so on. We came into office, we made good the premium, shortly thereafter, Beryl came on board, and we were able to basically collect the $118 million or $44 million US dollars from CRIF to basically help start the rebellion of Grenada.
Wow. Well, that was great foresight and vision. All right.
So I would want to end by saying thank you again, Terry, for allowing me to basically clarify or put some of these matters to rest. And if there are still people who feel that I have not given them the answer to the questions, they can continue, but the facts are there to basically prove whatever I said here.
Absolutely so indeed. And continue your good works, managing the financial affairs of the country, and continue to progress in your constituency. Good luck, and thank you for being part of the Heartbeat today. Most appreciated.
Have a good day, Terry, and listeners. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and many thanks for clarifying the situation with respect to the debt borrowing and the ability of Grenada to service those debts, and we are in a good space. So thank you very much, Minister for Finance, the Honorable Dennis Cornwall. Right now, what we'll be doing is to share with you excerpts of the recent launch that was on Friday of Project Polaris that took place at the project site in Calivini. So stay with us. Back with you in a moment.
On Saturday, May 16th, Brooklyn will come alive with live acoustic performances from some of Grenada's top local acts, setting the stage for an evening that celebrates culture, cuisine, and community. Set in an atmosphere of refined elegance, guests will enjoy a curated Caribbean culinary experience. The evening will also feature a special keynote address by the Honorable Dickon Mitchell, Prime Minister of Grenada. This premier fundraising affair promises an unforgettable experience where flavor, music, and purpose come together for a truly meaningful evening. Tickets are available now on GoToFate and Eventbrite. Secure yours early and be part of an extraordinary night. Spice Indulgence, an evening of heritage, connection, and impact.
Welcome back to the NDC Heartbeat, and very shortly we'll be sharing with you excerpts of the recent launch of Project Polaris. For those of you who are listening on radio, please be reminded that the Heartbeat will continue for about 45 minutes thereafter. So the program will go up to 1:45. So those listening on radio, most of the radio programs will shut off at 1 o'clock, except they're being kind today and would want to continue. But we invite you to go on to YouTube, where you will be able to participate and listen and look at the formal launching of Project Polaris. So thank you for being part of the Heartbeat today, and we now go right into the launch of Project Polaris.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Honorable Philip Telesford. He's going to share some remarks and help us understand the current state of our healthcare, where we are, because we must understand where we are in order to see clearly where we're going. Ladies and gentlemen, Honorable Philip Telesford.
Your Excellency, Dame Cecile Lagrenade, Governor General of Grenada, Honorable Dickon Mitchell, Prime Minister, Honorable Dennis Cornwall, Minister for Finance, Honorable Delma Thomas, Minister for Mental Health, Wellness and Religious Affairs, Honorable Joseph Andel, Minister for Foreign Affairs, Trade and Export Development, other members of Cabinet, Honorable Emlyn Pear, Leader of His Majesty Opposition, and Tafao Pear, former Prime Minister, Honorable Tillman Thomas and Mrs. Thomas, and Archdeacon Michael Marshall, Chairman of Grenada Conference of Churches, members of the Diplomatic Corps, other members of Parliament, Secretary to the Cabinet, Ms. Carvalette, and other members of the Senior Managers Board, Ambassador Andrea St. Bernard, project sponsor of Project Polaris, and all members of the Project Polaris team, Mr. Jonathan Waltz, Executive Director of Mount Sinai International, distinguished guests, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, I offer on this day my congratulations to Team Project Polaris for taking us to this stage. Together, hand in hand, we work towards building a strong and resilient health system in Grenada. This new hospital, ladies and gentlemen, will improve healthcare standards across the state of Grenada. It will support emergency care and surgeries. It will provide specialist services to our citizens. This hospital will cater for people across Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique, as well as visitors to our shores. This 250-bed climate-smart teaching hospital has, in this journey, achieved a number of critical milestones. We have purchased this beautiful 84 acres of land right here at Calivini, St. George. We have conducted the feasibility study and business plan. We have engaged our strategic partners and consultants. We have developed the master site plan for this new facility. And we continue to work as today we gather for this life-changing experience of turning sword on this facility. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to St. George Southeast, to Shemin Valley, my constituency. So, Project Polaris, ladies and gentlemen, is not happening without a strong focus on the improvements of our existing facilities. At the General Hospital, ladies and gentlemen, we have relocated our kitchen into a new state-of-the-art facility with state-of-the-art equipment. We continue to build out our laboratory facilities with state-of-the-art equipment. And in the not-too-distant future, we shall table up policy or laboratory policy at the Cabinet and the legislation for laboratories at the Parliament of Grenada. Major upgrades, ladies and gentlemen, continue on phase 2 of the General Hospital, the Radoon ward, the private block, and the ICU unit. We are contemplating the relocation of the eye clinic, and as most of you know, our patients continue to wait in long lines up the step towards the eye clinic. Decision has already been taken at management, and works are on its way to relocate the eye clinic. We continue to partner with Mount Sinai International. Currently, we are working along with 13 work streams. geared towards strengthening the delivery of services at the General Hospital. We are presently working towards strengthening emergency medical services, and that is an area of critical concern for us. And as we speak, we have a number of emergency medical technicians currently in training for this process. We continue with our gap analysis to be able to deliver an improvement of the waiting times and quality of service at the emergency unit. As we speak, ladies and gentlemen, only today, a memorandum of understanding has been signed with Restoring Vision for 50,000 eyeglasses for patients throughout the state of Grenada. 2 weeks ago, another memorandum of understanding was signed with the University of South Florida, with our friend and Dr. Ducoin, for the receipt of laparoscopic equipment and training for the surgical department. What does this mean? It means that our patients no longer have to endure open surgery, but now have the benefit of using technology with small incisions to carry out surgeries. And training in this area is continuing. Ladies and gentlemen, we are in receipt of mammogram equipment with biopsy capabilities. Only a few weeks ago, we were able to receive those equipment donated by Dr. Randy Becker and the St. George's University. These innovations, ladies and gentlemen, and our continued collaboration and efforts towards shaping healthcare in Grenada cannot be unnoticed. At the Princess Royal Hospital in Carriacou, we have completed the refurbishment of that building following Hurricanes Ivan. We have commissioned the state-of-the-art Hurricane Beryl. Thank you. Because there are so many buildings from Hurricane Ivan that are still outstanding. Ladies and gentlemen, we have commissioned the state-of-the-art digital X-ray system in Carriacou. What does that mean? It means that no longer our citizens in Carriacou and Petit Martinique have to brave the waters to come to Grenada to do X-rays. We are also in conversation with the U.S. Southern Command, who have donated laboratory equipment and laboratory facility on the island of Carriacou. We are currently in conversation with them to relocate that facility to the Princess Royal Hospital to be able to serve our patients better. No longer our patients would have to travel to Grenada for laboratory services. Leadership and governance. Ladies and gentlemen, I am happy to report that we have completed our physician manual, which guides the policy framework for clinicians that practice at the General Hospital. We have developed root cause analysis and peer review framework to enhance care analysis and patient outcomes. Ladies and gentlemen, these are not boasts. These are work that has been done by our hands and our minds at the ministry. As we speak, we embrace our change management philosophy, driven by advice by the Mount Sinai International. As we speak, We are preparing to hire a chief executive officer, chief engineer, director of quality improvements, director of human resources, and a financial controller towards the change management at the General Hospital. Real action in real time. Ladies and gentlemen, this is only at our hospitals, but at the primary care facilities around the state of Grenada. We continue our exploits in renovating 21 health facilities around the country. We have already renovated those at Windward, Dover, Leicester, and Mount Pleasant in Carriacou. We have already renovated Mount Rich Medical Station in St. Patrick. We have already renovated the center at Melville Street, St. George's. And as we speak, during the month of April, we will begin work at the following centers: Grand Roy Medical Station, Woburn Medical Station, and the Petit Martinique facility, ladies and gentlemen, is expected to complete by June of this year. Contracts have already been awarded for the works at Surtees and Grand Bras. St. David's is next. We expect work to begin during the month of April on both Surtees. As a matter of fact, Surtees has already started, but Grand Bras we expect to begin during the month of April. Ladies and gentlemen, your Ministry of Health has installed asthma bays at St. David Health Center and the Guave Polyclinic. What are we saying? We are ensuring that people with this condition no longer have to travel to St. George's for care, but they can be serviced both on the eastern and western corridors. Not only that, our aim is to ensure that we have asthma bays throughout every single parish in every health center throughout the state of Grenada. Dental services, ladies and gentlemen, are available in all parishes. We have restored dental services in every single health center. Added to that, ladies and gentlemen, this year, we will see the implementation of a mobile dental unit, which ensures that we meet people in the communities and villages to provide a service. Health digitalization. The digitalization of health is of paramount importance to us at the Ministry of Health, because we understand, as a ministry, if we do not embrace technology, we are doomed to fail. In this regard, ladies and gentlemen, the digitalization of surveillance operations is continuing. The implementation process is happening. We are happy to report, ladies and gentlemen, as we speak, there is weekly communicable disease reporting through our DHIS system. Case-based surveillance for arboviruses is also being reported weekly, and a complaints module has been implemented for environmental health. We implemented, ladies and gentlemen, the Civil Registry Information System under the Digital Government for Resilience Project, DG4R. This project will aim to digitalize the civil registry in advance, and it is advancing nicely. We recognize that investment in telemedicine, artificial intelligence, and integrated health information systems are under serious consideration at the Ministry of Health, because it is indeed a critical player in the delivery of healthcare for the future. national health insurance. We continue to work along with the University of the West Indies Health Economic Unit for the implementation of NHI in Grenada. That body of work, ladies and gentlemen, is currently under review. In conclusion, we recognize at the Ministry of Health that illness does not choose sides. Therefore, our healthcare system must stand as a beacon of fairness, dignity, and compassion. Project Polaris is the embodiment of that principle. And as we break ground today, we are not merely turning sword. We are turning a page in Grenada's healthcare history. We are laying the foundation for a healthier, stronger, and more resilient and productive nation. Together, let us look to Polaris while we commit ourselves to building a healthcare system that truly reflects the values of equity, progress, and care for all of Grenada. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Equity, progress, care for all of Grenada. As Minister Telesford spoke, as he enumerated the many things that's happening, one word came to mind, and that word was momentum. And as a student of physics, I remember my teacher telling me that momentum is the quantity of motion. And so when he said real action in real time, that word momentum meant a little bit more. He said we are turning, we are laying, we are doing. But all of the laying, the turning, and the doing requires a force. Physics again. It requires a force. It requires someone to champion that motion. And so it's only right and fitting we hear from the champion behind all of the motion with regards to Project Polaris. So ladies and gentlemen, keep the round of applause going as we welcome our project sponsor, Her Excellency Andrea St. Bernard.
Good afternoon. Your Excellency, Dame Cecile Lagrenade, Governor General, Honorable Deacon Mitchell, Prime Minister, Honorable Philip Telesford, Minister for Health, Honorable Dennis Cornwall, Minister for Finance, Honorable Delma Thomas, Minister for Mental Health, Wellness, and Religious Affairs, Honorable Joseph Andel, Minister for Foreign Affairs, Trade, and Export Development, other members of Cabinet, members of the Diplomatic Corps, Secretary to Cabinet Ms. Carvalette, members of the Project Polaris team, and the Ministry of Health and Hospital team, Mr. Jonathan Wenzel and the Mount Sinai International team, other distinguished guests, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen all. Good afternoon again. Today is a defining moment for Grenada. I've visited this site several times over the past few years, but nothing warms my heart more than seeing all of you here today for this momentous occasion. The name Polaris refers to the North Star, a constant guide, a point of direction. For generations, it has helped navigators find their way forward. That is exactly what this project represents for Grenada. So this project is our North Star, a clear direction toward a stronger, more modern healthcare system. And this moment did not happen overnight. The work behind Project Polaris has been ongoing for a few years now, through planning, consultation, and careful preparation. The government took the critical step to acquire this beautiful 83.9-acre piece of land, establishing the foundation for what we begin building today. Since then, we have advanced design, engaged local and international experts, and established a strong project management office to guide delivery, ensuring that this project is not only a dream, but a reality. Today, we move from planning to construction. The facility we are building will become Grenada's new general hospital, replacing the existing hospital in the town of St. George's with a modern, purpose-built facility in a more accessible location, designed to better serve the communities across the country. It will be a 250-bed, climate-resilient, smart hospital, serving you, the people of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique, right here at home. This hospital will expand access to specialist care, modern diagnostics, improved emergency services, surgical capacity, and maternal and neonatal care, allowing more Grenadians to receive the treatment they need without having to travel overseas. Today, many Grenadians are forced to seek care abroad, with millions of dollars leaving our shores every year for medical treatment. Project Polaris is changing that. It is about ensuring that more care and more opportunities stay right here in Grenada. The new General Hospital, right here in Calavini, will also support education, training, and research. It will expand the government's collaboration with the St. George's University, allowing more students to train here and enabling Grenada to strengthen its role in medical education, while encouraging more graduates to remain and serve within our health system. Construction starts now, in March 2026. And in 3 years, we expect to see you all back here to officially open the doors of the new General Hospital. Fellow Grenadians, this is just the beginning. The first phase of Project Polaris will see the construction of the new General Hospital on approximately 10 acres that we're sitting on now. The second phase will expand into the full medical city across the remaining 74 acres. The Hopevale Medical City will include staff and student accommodation, dedicated retirement residences, hotel, spa, a lifestyle and leisure hub. These are the visions that we have for the broader medical city. And I again want to extend an invitation to you all to visit even more of the site, to have a full appreciation of the opportunity that we have before us. We are intentionally designing a space where healing extends beyond the walls of the hospital, where patients can breathe our clean air, stroll or move comfortably along the Chemin River, and engage in activities that support recovery and well-being. because we understand that the natural environment is healing in itself, and we are building with that in mind. While today is about breaking ground, it is also about recognizing the work that has already been done. Through our collaboration with Mount Sinai Health Systems, teams at the current General Hospital are actively engaged in training, quality improvement, and system strengthening initiatives. We are ensuring that we are building infrastructure while also building capacity. And this is what gives us confidence. Confidence that this project will be delivered. Confidence that it will function effectively. And confidence that it will serve the people of Grenada for generations to come. I do want to take a moment again and commend the Project Polaris team, who have been working very hard for quite some time. The government officials that have collaborated with us, our technical partners, and all those working quietly and consistently behind the scenes. We thank you for your commitment, your discipline, and your focus. I also acknowledge our international partners whose collaboration and expertise continues to support the development of this project. And of course, I thank you, the people of Grenada, for your engagement, your questions, and your belief in what this project represents. Your friendship and support have helped us get to where we are today and will continue to help us build this center of excellence and transform Grenada's healthcare system. Work is already underway to launch a significant and impactful philanthropic campaign. So our donations campaign is coming. We will invite you and encourage you all to continue to support this project. We'll share more about the details and the opportunities to do so as we move forward. But those of you who have come today wanting to make a contribution, there are booths set up with QR codes, and we encourage you all to register, become partners of Project Polaris, and make your contribution. Together, we are building a system that meets the moment and makes history. This is your hospital, and today we begin building it. Thank you.
Let's put our hands together one more time for project sponsor, Andrea St. Bernard. She said, "This is your hospital." And my heart jumped a little bit, because I never had a hospital before. But it is indeed our hospital. It's our thing. It's for us. And we, a word that has been used multiple times this evening, and will continue to be used over the course of this ceremony and the things that we do going forward, because this isn't about one person or a group of people. It's about Grenada. It's about moving Grenada forward. And ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor and privilege to welcome a visionary, I had a whole long thing planned, but I think that word did it well. Ladies and gentlemen, Prime Minister of Grenada, Honorable Dickon Mitchell.
Your Excellency Dame Cecile Lagrenade, Governor General of Grenada, Member of Parliament for St. George, Southeast, the Honorable Philip Telesford and Minister for Health, distinguished members of the Cabinet, I have in the protocol list the Honorable Emlyn Pierre, Leader of His Majesty's Opposition, and Mr. Pierre. I also have in the protocol list former Prime Ministers, the Honorable Tillman Thomas and Mrs. Thomas, and Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell and Mrs. Mitchell. In the interest of time, permit me to adopt the rest of the protocol list and to bid a pleasant afternoon to all of us who are gathered here in person and to those who are viewing this sword-turning ceremony online. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We stand on hollowed ground, not because of the steel and concrete that we will pour into this ground, but because of the history that breathes beneath our feet and the future that we are planning in this soil. From an Amerindian settlement to a slave plantation to a sugarcane and agricultural plantation, and now the site of our new General Hospital. So yes, today, the ground beneath our feet feels different. It carries the weight of history, yes, but it also carries the electric charge of a future that we are finally brave enough to build. Today, we are not just moving Earth, we are moving the nation of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique forward. To understand where we are going, we must look at where we began. For centuries, perhaps dating as far back as 1773, the colonial hospital, built initially by the French, which is now our General Hospital, has been the silent watchman over St. George's. It survived the Great Fire of 1850. It weathered the winds of Janet and Ivan. It bore the weight of a revolution. And over those centuries, we made changes. We added wings, we expanded wards, we patched the roofs, we repaired, we painted, we plastered. But for too long, we have been trying to practice 21st century medicine in a 19th century shell. Our healthcare professionals have performed miracles with limited space. And our citizens have shown incredible patience. So today, we acknowledge that patchwork is no longer enough. The history of our healthcare is one of resilience, but its future must be one of excellence. The road to this sword-turning ceremony was not paved overnight. But Project Polaris, our North Star, was born from a simple, non-negotiable premise. And that premise is, Grenadians deserve world-class healthcare right here at home. So we must move forward. We must modernize. And we must ensure that we expand access to care for all our citizens. And this new general hospital will do exactly that. It will provide modern, high-quality care. It will expand services, and it will ensure that more Grenadians can receive treatment right here at home. This is what intentional progress looks like. This land on which we stand today was acquired in 2023 by the government of Grenada. This government, this administration came into office in 2022. In just 1 year after we assumed office, we purchased and designated this land for the new General Hospital. But I pause to acknowledge the Nichols family, led by Mr. Leroy Nichols and Mrs. Margaret Nichols, for agreeing to sell the land to the government of Grenada, and by extension, the citizens of Grenada, and for keeping this land intact since 2013, and for not cutting it up and selling it off in plots. Because in 2013, the then government of Grenada, which was then an administration led by the Honorable Tillman Thomas, had agreed with the same Nichols family to purchase this very said land to construct a general hospital. But it took 10 years of waiting. And a second chance came in 2023. And so I acknowledge a debt of gratitude to Mr. and Mrs. Nichols for recognizing the strategic importance of this land, and in effect for keeping it. They must have sensed deep down, sooner or later, that the tide of change was going to come. So we are here not by accident. Perhaps it was fated, even if 10 years later. It was a deliberate decision to move from discussions that were taking place 15 years ago, to delivery. Because we are serious. We are serious about improving healthcare. We are serious about delivering to the people of Grenada. And we are serious about building a future that works for everyone. You've heard already from the project sponsor, but I think it's important for me to reiterate. This journey involved and will continue to involve years of rigorous work, studies, impact assessment, financial modeling, and late-night negotiations. But we had to ensure that we are not just building another building, but instead that we are creating an ecosystem of healing. There were skeptics. There are skeptics. There will be skeptics. Some will say it's a con man job. Some will say it is pie in the sky. There are hurdles. There will be hurdles. And we've overcome hurdles. whether they be financial, logistical, or those who lack faith and belief in Grenadians. But our North Star remains clear. We have moved from concept to blueprint, and from blueprint to breaking ground today. But today's ceremony does not exist in a vacuum. It is a cornerstone of Vision 75, our national roadmap to transform Grenada by the 75th anniversary of our independence. That vision is to transform Grenada into a resilient, inclusive, innovation-driven economy by 2050. But most importantly, it is a vision for a healthy nation. Because you cannot have a successful and a wealthy nation without a healthy nation. And therefore, Project Polaris is the pulse of Vision 75. It is a vision that places the health and well-being of our people at the center of national development. Because a healthy nation is our greatest asset. No country can truly prosper if its people are unwell. No economy can grow if its workforce is burdened by preventable illnesses. And no society can thrive without a healthcare system that is modern, accessible, and fit for purpose. So today is a reflection of Vision 75. It is a reflection of our national commitment to build that resilient, inclusive, and forward-looking Grenada. And there is one simple truth at the heart of that vision. Our people must be healthy to fully participate in and benefit from that future. And yes, Project Polaris is infrastructure. Just like the Maurice Bishop International Airport, just like St. George's University, just like our roads and ports and airport. They have all changed the trajectory of this country. They've all expanded opportunity, strengthened our economy, and improved the social well-being of Grenadians and connected us to the wider world. So just as we build our roads to move our goods to and from our ports and airports and to trade, the building of Project Polaris is to move our human capital. A healthy nation, I repeat, is a productive nation. And this facility is the hardware of our health development. It will create hundreds of jobs during construction and thousands of high-value clinical and support roles upon completion. But if Project Polaris is hardware, and if it's the hardware for a healthcare revolution, it is supported by critical software changes. I name a few. The statutorization of our hospitals. We are moving toward a semi-autonomous hospital management structure to ensure efficiency, faster procurement, and better maintenance at our hospitals. We are moving towards national health insurance. We are laying the groundwork so that no Grenadian has to choose between their life savings and a life-saving procedure. The Minister for Health went through quite expansively the work being done to strengthen our primary healthcare systems. So while our general hospital may handle the acute, we are revitalizing our community health centers and medical stations to ensure that preventative care starts at the village level. And as the Minister also elaborated, right now, as we speak, the quality improvement program is taking place at the General Hospital. So beyond Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique, we are deliberate in positioning Project Polaris and Grenada as a Titan for healthcare in the OECS. We are signaling to the region that the Spice Isle is becoming and will become a hub for medical excellence, a destination for health tourism, and a sanctuary for specialized care that will draw eyes and investment from across the globe. So our invitation to the world, to our local private sector, to our diaspora, and to our international friends. Project Polaris is the beginning of an open door. We invite you to partner with us in technology, in research, and in service delivery. Grenada no longer intends to be a passenger in the story of Caribbean development, but to be a pilot. So join us as we set a new standard for what a small island or what a big ocean state can achieve when it dreams to be big. By way of example, this morning, the government of Grenada signed a letter of intent with the Development Bank of Latin America and the Caribbean to further strengthen our health sector. This letter of intent establishes a framework for enhanced collaboration between the government of Grenada and CAF. The focus will be on institutional strengthening in the health sector and critically in advancing digital integration. It reflects our shared commitment to collaboratively identify and develop impactful partnerships that can help sustain the development of our healthcare sector and improve outcomes for all our citizens. But as much as a government always wants to tap its back and take credit, the credit belongs to all of us, citizens of Grenada. To those who've endured, to those who've advocated, to those who've lobbied, to those who've complained, to those who've dreamt of a better healthcare system. Today is a celebration for you. Our cabinet of ministers have already pledged and are doing their small individual part in supporting this project. Every cabinet minister has pledged 1 month's salary each year towards this project until its completion in 2029. We have made this commitment because we believe in this project. We believe in its impact, and we believe in its importance to our country. And so naturally, brothers and sisters, you, the people of Grenada, including those in the diaspora, I urge you to join us on this journey because building a nation is a shared responsibility. Whether through your support, your advocacy, or your personal commitment to living a healthier life, you are part of this transformation. Because it is also about our mindset. It is about understanding that health is not only something we seek when we are ill, but something we must protect every day. So let this moment inspire us, not just to build a hospital, but to build a healthier nation. A nation where people live longer, stronger, and better lives. A nation that invests in its people and reaps the reward of that investment. A nation that is confident in its ability to shape its own future. Today, we break ground on that new future. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Prime Minister Mitchell. Building a nation is indeed a shared responsibility, and so thank you for tasking us with sharing in that responsibility. I want to also thank you, Prime Minister, for acknowledging the fact that change isn't easy, and it does come with challenge. And so thank you for acknowledging the hurdles. But I also want to say thank you for persisting with the vision in spite of the hurdles that will come. So yes, we did indeed patch and plaster and repair as best as we can. Thank you, because today we build. More opportunities, more care, right here at home. Thank you. You've set the stage, and so we want to give our audience a view of what more opportunities, more care, right here at home looks like. So ladies and gentlemen, please turn your attention to our main screen as we reveal Project Polaris.
There are moments in a nation's journey when small steps are no longer enough, when moving forward requires bold action. Grenada has faced moments like these before. When our economy was largely dependent on agriculture, we established St. George's University, opening the country to a global knowledge economy. When our ability to connect to the world was limited, we built the Maurice Bishop International Airport, unlocking tourism, trade, and international access. And when there was no single space to bring the nation together at scale, we built the National Stadium. Each decision responded to a real constraint. Each one expanded what was possible. Each one moved Grenada forward. Today, we stand at another defining moment. Healthcare. The need for a system that is modern, accessible, and reliable. Care that people can depend on here at home. That step is now being taken through Project Polaris, a transformative national investment in the health and future of our people. Set across 84 acres between St. George and St. David, Project Polaris is a fully integrated medical city, bringing together care, learning, living, and well-being within one connected system, organized into 4 districts: healthcare, mixed use, housing, and community, and anchored by a central park with the new teaching hospital at its core. At its center stands a 250-bed climate-smart teaching hospital developed in collaboration with Mount Sinai. Designed to global standards, this facility brings advanced care closer to home, specialized services for women and children, modern oncology and cardiology care, advanced diagnostics and surgical capability. Every element is designed to support healing, comfort, and dignity. The medical city is designed to operate seamlessly, with integrated services, efficient movement, and resilient systems to ensure continuity of care. Beyond the hospital, a mixed-use district supports a growing ecosystem with housing, commercial activity, and shared public spaces, strengthening healthcare, expanding opportunity, building national capacity, so that care is closer, so that families feel more secure, so that no one has to look beyond our shores for the care they need. This is how a country stands for its people. This is how a future is built. Project Polaris.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we move today from vision to action, from plans on paper to foundations on the ground. And so it's my honor my absolute privilege to invite our delegates to get ready. It's time for us to turn the sword. So Archdeacon Michael Marshall will now bless the sword.
Psalm 127 verse 1 reminds us that unless the Lord builds the house, the builders labor in vain. Unless the Lord watches over the city, the guards stand watch in vain. Almighty and merciful God, today we stand in this moment of vision, hope, and gratitude for this land chosen and the bright future we envision. One that strengthens the well-being of citizens by providing accessible care, restoring dignity, and fostering healthier, more resilient communities. Today we concentrate this site for our new climate-smart medical city. We consecrate it, O Lord, for a place where a beacon of healing and passion yet to rise. You are the great physician, the source of wisdom and mercy. May this hospital become a sanctuary of care, a refuge for the suffering, and a place of restoration. Blessed and protect the hands that will labor here. Architects, engineers, contractors, builders, tradespeople, safety officers, and project managers, all support staff. Grant them safety, skill, and unity of purpose. May every foundation laid be guided by your hand. Lord, we return this land to you, dedicating it to your glory and the service of humanity. May the Spirit hover over it, preparing the way for healing and hope. We pray in the name of Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior, to bless this place for the use of our medical care program in this country. And may the blessing of God Almighty, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit be upon this ground, and for the safety of all those who will work here, be upon them, and for the vision of a healthcare facility that will allow for everyone to be taken care of physically, emotionally, and in all areas of life. Be unto you, O Father, this day and forevermore. Amen.
From vision to action. The plans are removed from paper. This is the moment that we have been waiting for. Our dignitaries are ready, and so we prepare to turn the soil. Each turn will represent a commitment to build, a commitment to serve, and a commitment to secure the future of healthcare in Grenada. On signal, our dignitaries are all invited to turn the sword. And in 3, 2, 1. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is the beginning. This is us moving forward together. Let's hear it for all of our dignitaries. Let's hear it for our Project Polaris team. Let's hear it for Grenada. Let's hear it for moving forward together. One people united under one cause. For our present and future generations, ladies and gentlemen, our North Star persists. Project Polaris. So we invite our members of cabinet to join our delegates.